What is going on, guys? We're back playing some more Surviving with Mekanism. Today, guys, we're going to be messing around with the Quantum Entangloporter, which is a pretty awesome block. It's Mekanism's equivalent of a Tesseract. It's extremely useful, and it's going to allow us to transport all 5 different types of resources all at the same time and even out the same side, which is great for certain setups like our ore processing setup. So the 5 different types that you might need to transport are typically going to be just plain items. Then you're going to have fluids, you're going to have gases, and then another great thing is you can transport heat with it, which we just worked with last episode, and then you can transport energy. So the reason these are extremely useful, obviously you can use them like a regular Tesseract, transporting things from one dimension to another, or over very long distances by syncing up the frequencies, and we'll go over all of that when we actually work with it. But just a conceptual idea if you want to think about it, and we're going to be working with this a little bit today, is over here we have our basic injecting factory. Now this requires a lot of different things. It's going to require the hydrogen chloride that we're producing. It's also going to require items being pumped in. Along with that, you're also going to have items going out, but that's kind of a non-issue because they're going straight to the purifying factory. But then it also needs power. So this requires a lot of the sides to be used up, but the nice thing is with the Quantum Entangloporter, we're able to throw that down right behind the basic injecting factory, and we can get all 3 things that we're going to need from that all out of the same side of it. So we can have all the items piped out that side, we can have the hydrogen chloride coming out that side, and we can have the energy. So it simplifies a lot of things, and it's actually not that expensive. So we need to start crafting it. That's really all we're going to be crafting today. So we're going to grab out all this stuff right here. We're going to be making 3. I may need to make another one depending on what we're doing. And I guess when we see what we're doing, because I do have some idea of how we're going to do it, but it is a little bit complicated. So for this, it does require a lot of atomic alloy because you're going to need the base atomic alloy. Along with that, the teleportation core needs 2 atomic alloy, and then you need to upgrade the control circuits to ultimate control circuits, which require more atomic alloy. So we can go in and we actually need to first craft the ultimate control circuits, which require the elite control circuits. So we'll craft those. There we go. Then we can take this out and we can craft the ultimate control circuits. And, oh, you know what? It looks like I totally spaced out on getting some of the stuff for this. Okay, guys, so I was pretty much just waiting to get some more atomic alloy from the metallurgic infusers. We needed another 12. I spaced out a little bit when it came to crafting the ultimate control circuits, but I did mention you do need a lot of atomic alloy, so that's a great example of how much you need. So now we need to go through and craft the teleportation cores, which are going to be using up another 6 atomic alloy. Not really that expensive, but the diamonds and atomic alloy do kind of build up if you're making a lot of these, and the 3 that we're going to be making today really aren't going to get us that far. So just keep in mind, although they are a little bit cheaper than the Tesseract, you might want to be a little cautious with how crazy you go with these because you'll probably end up with a lot of them, and I expect that we will end up with a lot of them too. So we're going to grab out all 3 of them. Now, the nice thing about these is they can pretty much transport everything. They're not really specific to what you're trying to transport. So we're going to hook these up all over the place. So we're going to start over in this area. Now, I guess one thing I should point out before we do this, not really relevant to the episode, but I did do a lot of work on the base. That was why there was no episode yesterday. It's because I spent a ton of time expanding the base and just trashing everything, and that's what this random chest is here for. It's got a lot of our sugarcane gas burning generator setup in it. I was spacing out on what that was called, but it's got all that stuff in it because I haven't even set that up yet. But I've been working on tearing everything down, expanding, making it look a little bit nicer, and then putting it back up. So yeah, if you notice that the base looks a little bit different, that is why. Now over here, we have our thermal evaporation plant. Everything should be set up except for the power that needs to come over here. Now we're going to be using the Quantum Entangloporter over here to take away the hydrogen chloride, but we're also going to be using it to bring power over here. Now eventually I'm going to have one of these hooked up pretty much just in its own spot solely for power, and that's going to be coming from the gas burning generator and also from any wind generators that we might have. Right now the wind generators are hooked up and eventually we'll start piping energy through this, but we don't have any other power source set up yet, so it's going to be a little bit lackluster. Now we're going to set this up right up here. Now the reason is because we have the chemical infuser right here. Do not let Wayla confuse you again saying it's a rotary condensator or concentrator, whatever it is. I always mess that up, but right now we want to pull out the hydrogen chloride. So we're going to pull that out and we're going to put that in up here, and it's going to get a little cramped back here. So we're going to make sure we do everything in the correct order because we're going to be pulling that out the front and putting it in up here. But if we look at the UI for this and we go over, you can pretty much set the frequency. So we're going to set this to, I guess we could name it something, but let's just say, we'll just set this to general. So the reason we're doing that is because for now, there's nothing specific coming from this. This is where we're going to be putting in the hydrogen chloride. We're going to be putting in and pulling out energy, anything like that. So what we're going to do is set that, and now it is set to the frequency general. It's public. You can set it to private if you're on a server or something, and then it'll be only specific to you so no one else can access it. But if we come over to the side configuration, it's not just the normal one. You see what you'd normally see for items, but then you have the option for energy, heat, fluids, and gases. Now you can customize every side you could possibly need with ejections on all of them, and you can do that all at the same time. So it's really phenomenal for that. Really the only thing that you're limited on is putting stuff in, but if you really want to pull all the stuff out from one side, just put this directly adjacent to whatever block you want it to go to, and it'll be able to take all of them out. So right now we need to get power to all of these, so we're gonna have to get rid of these 2 blocks back here, and we're gonna have to hook up universal cable to this. So if we're looking at the back, it does get a little bit confusing. Let's get our universal cable out. I should upgrade this cable very soon, but I'll worry about that in a little bit. So we need to bring power to all of these right along here, and it needs to even go to this pump in the back there, so we might have to break this block to get back there too. Okay, so that should go to that pump. Now all of this should be getting power from this single block, and it makes it a lot neater around the base. You can spread things out a lot more just because you don't need to wire everything directly. And we also need to get power to this pump over here, so we're going to be putting it pretty much below it. We're going to bring it all the way down just so that it doesn't get in the way in the front right here. It is going to make it a little bit messy, I guess, so we're going to have to get rid of all of this stuff. Now another thing that I want to point out is the main reason that I'm doing this is not just because it makes things a lot neater around the base, but also because it's going to keep me away from a lot of the things that cause lag. It'll prevent me from having to stand right next to this thermal evaporation plant, which if you guys noticed last episode, it did cause me a little bit of lag. It's a little bit buggy too. You might notice here the texture's kind of messed up after I broke it. So I don't know what's up with that, but I guess we actually need to break this and keep it down here. So let's get the factory block back over here. Okay, so there we go. We can fill that back in so we don't have water bothering us. And we just have to figure out how we want to actually bring this around over here. We can just go right up like this. So bring it up there. And there we go. We can cover this up as best we can, like so, and just get out the cobblestone and fill that back in there. So it actually looks relatively neat around here, and the minute we start putting power into this, it should be able to pull it out. So let's just go over. We can go to the energy, and we can see I don't believe the eject matters on this. It should automatically pull it out, but we'll turn it on for now. A lot of the time this matters with items if you're trying to automatically eject them out into stuff, but I've never actually had an issue with turning it on for energy, but we might as well. And then we're actually going to be setting this whole thing to output just because I don't feel like dealing with the sides. It can get a little bit confusing. That one should be the backside. So if we were looking at the energy, it should be, I want to say, this side right here, this bottom one that we're flipping through, but I'm not going to worry about it. We're not putting any energy into this. We're just pulling it out. And the next thing we're going to set is going to be out the front over here. Everything else should be good, so we can kind of block our path in this room with the pressurized tube for the hydrogen chloride. So that's going to come out the front here, and it's going to go in up here. Now, it should be, I think we might have to set this one to pull. Yeah, so there we go. That should be pulling it out right now. Or wait, is that power? Oh my gosh, I thought that said pressurized. No, that's not what we want. Okay. Yeah, we want pressurized tube. Where is that? Oh, they were right next to each other. That's why I messed that up. Okay, we want pressurized tube out there, and we set it to pull. Okay, so there we go. We got the hydrogen chloride coming out there, and now we need to come in here and go to gases. Where is that? Right down here. So we're going to turn gases on, and it's going to be inputting. So this side should already be, I guess no, we set that to input, and it should be inputting now. So gas can be input on any side of this, just so we don't have to worry about this. Eventually we'll get more specific with sides going in, sides going out, but for now I'm a little bit lazy. We're just going to set it like that. So now we should be able to pull out any of this hydrogen chloride from pretty much any of these. So now we need to get some power going to these machines, and we need to start actually pulling this stuff out. So we can come over here. I did keep the whole idea of a back room for wiring. I think it's really nice. And the reason that this is all wired up right now like this, it's a little bit messy, is just because we don't actually have the quantum entangloporters hooked up. So I'm going to break this. I don't actually have this on fast, and I probably should just turn the configurator into wrench mode, but we're going to break all of this. We're not going to be using this right now, and we're going to finish hooking up the energy. So now is when it becomes a little bit not more confusing about how we want to hook this up, but we can do it a couple different ways. So right now, I don't even have the electrolytic separator hooked up for the purifying factory, just because I'm not planning on running this setup today. We're just transporting stuff over here. So right now, we can take this quantum entangloporter and we can throw it right here. And the minute we hook this up to the frequency, it should automatically fill this up with power, or not with power, but with the hydrogen chloride. So if we come over here, we hook it up to the frequency, set it to that, look at the side configs, and go to gases. I think that should... No, so it's got input on that side. So if we go to this, gases, eject, and then it's got output. We'll just set all these sides to output again because I'm lazy and I don't feel like dealing with that. Okay, so I was wondering why it didn't work. I actually kind of figured it out. I thought of it really quick. Pretty sure I didn't set gases. I set items. So we actually need to set gases to that. Now it should be filling up the system over here. I kind of spaced out for a little bit. It gets a little weird if you start exiting the UI and going back in. It'll go straight to items, but now it is filled with hydrogen chloride. So that's what we need. Now, if we were to start putting power into these, we'd also be able to get power to the machines over there. So what I think we're going to do is not actually, I wanted to hook up a quantum entangloporter right here, but then I realized there's no point. Eventually, we'll be moving our whole power setup to the other side of the room. It's going to go over there with all of the other stuff, the gas burning generator, anything like that. But for now, I think we're going to input into this with power, and we're also going to output power on this. So the reason we're going to be doing this is just because it makes it a little bit more convenient in terms of, accessing all the sides. So this is pretty much going to act like throughput for the energy. So the energy should be going in the top, it should be inputting in the top, and it should be outputting out the front. So this should be at full energy, and if we were to throw something in there, it actually should be able to start functioning. Now we're also going to be having it output out this side over here. So let's go to energy, and it should be outputting out this side. So it should be able to power all the rest of these machines. So there we go. We have all power going to these machines. That's great. If we really wanted to, we could hook up the rest of these machines over here. But for now, I think we're just going to use a wire like this because it kind of has to go by the door. I might move this into a more convenient spot eventually, but now we have that going and we can come back over here and these should be getting power. So, yep, you can see these are all getting power. The system should be running. This actually has to fill up this entire thermal evaporation plant just because I actually haven't filled it up before, but it should be producing a significant amount of brine. We do have to have this use up some of this if we want it to start producing. Oh, you know what? I don't have the pressurized tube moving it from this to this. Okay. So we need to have that. We need to have it sucking from here and pushing it in there. Yep, so now that's full, and we're going to have to do the same thing over there. I forgot to do that. And this needs to be dumping sodium. So there we go. Now it's functioning. Now it's using up power. That's good stuff. So now over here, we got to do the same thing with the hydrogen. So this is going to be dumping excess on that. Pressurized tube, and we got to flip this on. I know this isn't super relevant to today's episode, but yeah, so now we got that functioning. This should all be running. That's great. All of these are fully upgraded too. So if we started running the system over on, oh, that's not supposed to go there. If we were to start running the system over on that side, it should all work flawlessly. So that's great. Okay guys, so I actually got the whole system running. I was going to show you guys just the first part of it working, but I realized after putting the iron in the basic injecting factory, and it comes out as shards, the shards do go into the purifying factory, everything was set up correctly, and I was a little confused because they didn't automatically go in there. Now the reason behind that was because there was no oxygen in there, and apparently if there isn't any of that in there, it won't even go in. So I did come back here and I finished the setup. It does look relatively clean. I do have the gas tank and everything set up for the hydrogen so I can refill my jetpack and everything in there, but it should all be good to go now, and this processing setup should be pretty solid. So the next thing that I actually want to cover using this for is going to be getting the items there, because right now we've got everything set up, we've got the power going to this whole system, everything's good to go except the items. Now the items that are going to go in here are a little bit more complicated solely because we've got a couple things that are going to come out of the digital miner, and before we would sort those things right away just because we'd be having redstone and certain things that wouldn't be going into the injecting factory, but we would have ores that would also be going in here. So the problem is going to become sorting out the items that are coming from over here before they go into the quantum entangloporter or after. You can do it either way. You can sort things before they go in here. The only problem is, and I can throw this down and show you guys really quick, you can set a transporter configuration. Now if you don't know what this is, it pretty much relates to the different colors you can have, like dark blue, dark green. You can cycle through those for what gets input on one side, but you can only set a single output. So They output as a certain color. The unfortunate thing is they don't output as multiple colors. So even if we set it so only certain ones can go in here, we'd actually have to split it in two. So we need an extra one of these eventually to sort out, some of the redstone and coal and diamonds that aren't getting processed in this setup right away are going to go straight over to the bins. But for now, we can only process ores. So we need to get some power over here, which is easy enough to do considering we have the quantum entangloporter. It does need to go in the side. I think we should be able to put it in the side right over here. So if we want, yeah, we should be able to put it in right over there. So we can put the quantum entangloporter. I don't know if we can automatically eject it into this. We can try. I'm not sure. So we'll put it right there, and then we'll run the universal cables over here. And we will have to set this so we need to set it to this frequency, and now it connects to it. So we go over to energy, and it is going to be outputting out the bottom. And it looks like we might not have it connected correctly to the side. It might need to go in here. So, this should have power going through it. Set there, energy, outputting. Oh, we need to set the eject on. Okay, so this actually doesn't need to be here, I don't think. Yeah, we can get rid of that. I always forget. So it does look like you need the auto eject to be on. Now it's powering this thing. Now we are going to reset this, and we're going to set the configuration to, let's just say we'll specify. I usually specify and set it to just like iron or something along those lines, whatever we need for today. So then we're going to take this, and it should be able to automatically output, and it's going to be inputting on items for all of these. So we're just going to set it to input on all of them. And if we were to start this and set this one over here to output for items, it should be able to automatically output these two. So auto eject items on, and it should be outputting out the front. So if we were to turn this on, it should be able to go. Assuming it can auto eject the iron into this, which it looks like it can, it should be coming out in here and should start processing. If we set this to input on the correct side, so it should be there, right? It should be inputting on the back from this, which should be ejecting out the front. So we want this to, oh, there we go. Okay, so there we go. I had to tweak these around a little bit. The main reason that I'm setting all of this up right now, kind of like this, where I'm not specifying the exact side and just setting it all to general output, is because it does get a little messed up depending on how you put it down, and the fact that all the sides look exactly the same gets slightly confusing. I do know I could pull out the configurator and see, but that doesn't work for all of them, only for certain item ones. But we can turn this off now that we know that this whole setup works, and we have the shards in here. Okay, so this needs more oxygen production, so I guess we need to set this. Is this not dumping excess? Oh, so this needs to be idle right here, and this needs to be dumping excess. There we go. Okay, so now oxygen is being produced. This whole system can run. Very nice. So all I need to do eventually off camera is set it so that we have a second one over here. And what we'll do is we'll take the sorting, the logistical sorter. We'll sort things into two categories again, dark blue and dark green. The dark blue will go to one of these, which will be set to the frequency that drops it off over here. And then the dark green one, I guess we could say, will be set to do everything that needs to be dropped off in the bins that can't automatically be dropped off in here. So if we were to get, any redstone, even if we were to silk touch redstone, it would need to go into a different spot of these. It would need to go into, I want to say it'd be, I don't know if it's the purifying factory or not, but the redstone would go into a different one. Same with the diamonds. They don't go through this whole process. So it would need to be set up differently, but hopefully that gave you guys a general idea of how these work. I do think they're really awesome just because of what we can do right here, which is pretty much have like 3 or 4 different inputs all coming in the same side of a block. And I don't have to worry about it looking gross around it like this one kind of does right now. There's no real way around it for this one, unless I wanted to waste a bunch of stuff like another quantum entangloporter, but for now, we'll keep it like this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully you like the way the base looks now. It's not really a change in style so much as it is expanding upon it, but I really like the way things look. I don't have the bins fully hooked up yet. I will hook those up before next episode 2. And down here, we're going to run a lot of the thermal evaporation plants down this hallway because eventually we're going to have 2 or 3 of these for the brine, and then one of those brine is going to go into another one to produce lithium. And then once we do that, once we have that all set up, we will get into the induction matrix stuff because we do need lithium for that. And, you know, I'll set up all of our gas burning generator reed farm setup over there. That's where our power generation will be, and so on and so forth. So let me know what you guys think about the new base. I like the open space a lot more. So I've been rambling for a while, but that's going to be it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you found it entertaining or informative in any way, please feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And I will talk to you guys later.